This is an introductory book reading of my book, The Hollow Vale, Act 1. Chapter 1, The Forgotten Scroll. It was the third hour before dawn, and the mist had already pressed in close against the broken walls of the monastery of St. Ambrose. Outside, the orchard had vanished beneath a silver flood, the apple trees no longer visible beyond the window arches. Their leafless limbs reduced to smudges within a vapour that neither rose nor settled, but hovered, purposeful and implaceable, like breath held by the land itself. Brother Felric, the oldest monk in the house, sat alone in the scriptorium, wrapped in 3 threadbare habits and a mantle of wool so old it had begun to mimic the texture of lichen. The room was barely warmed by the hearth behind him. Its coals long since failed to a dull cherry glow. The fire had been rekindled at vespers, but Felric had not noticed its fading. He had been copying a line from a shattered hymn book for over an hour, each stroke more unsure than the last, each word less familiar than it had been the moment before. The letters blurred, not from age or infirmity, but from something subtler, something Felric could not name. The ink seemed to change as he dipped his quill, darkening, then paling, then shifting altogether into something that shimmered faintly in the lamplight, like the wings of a moth just before it turns to ash. He paused, blinked. The phrase at the top of the page hadn't changed, but not misspelt, not smudged, changed. The Latin was now mingled with curved strokes and symbols that he had only seen once before, half buried in a ruined gospel from the West, the sort of marks that moved when no one looked at them directly. Felric sat back in his chair, the worn joints of the frame creaking beneath his weight. He glanced towards the high window slit, but it had long been devoured by fog. The light beyond was grey and indistinct. The hour still hung heavy in the timeless stretch before dawn, when sleep thins and the veil between things stirs. Somewhere deep in his memory, a story returned. He hadn't thought of it in decades, an old tale whispered by the abbots when the wine had flowed too freely, and the ink had run dry. If the mist comes before the bell, do not write your name. If the words forget themselves, do not answer aloud. If the letters turn to stars, leave them be. For the world has opened its ledger, and it always writes in silence first. He had always taken it for a metaphor, a fable to keep the novitiates from wandering into heretical texts or dreaming too boldly over the margins of sacred scrolls. Now, sitting in the hush of the scriptorium, the tale felt less like a warning and more like an instruction. That's a preview of the first chapter of my book, The Hollow Vale, Act 1, The Crumbling Road. You can get it on Amazon, all over bookstores, and soon Waterstones and Indigo chapters. Thank you.